As a bus driver for Portland Public Schools, you provide an important service to our student population and their families. Thank you for taking the time to ensure each student's safety and comfort as you prepare them for transport. As you are driving to your student's pickup location, consider the lay of the land and how that might inform your approach. Because loading a student in a mobility device will take longer than a student who can walk onto the bus, an off-road stop is preferable. Park the bus for loading in a place that will allow you to lower the lift platform in an appropriate location. If an address faces a busy street but has another safe access point to the side or back of the property, make arrangements with the student's parent or guardian to load and unload there if it is safe and legal to do so. Be efficient in your movements and try not to take more time than is necessary for the process, but at the same time, your priority is the safety of your students, so do not let motorists pressure you into anything less than our standards prescribe. Once you have secured the bus and activated the appropriate lights if performing an on-road stop, open your service door. Always be sure that your bus's gear selector is in park and the parking brake is applied before you leave the driver's seat. On some of our newer buses, you will also have to engage a power switch on your panel to provide power for the lift. Walk to the rear of the bus and open the lift access door. The door should be secured in the open position to avoid damage or injuries if the door swings because of wind or gravity. If the door does not have a built-in prop, use the bungee cable or ball and socket provided for this purpose. Ensure that the power to the lift is on. Some buses have a power switch on the handheld remote control, and some have a switch on the body of the lift mechanism. Some lifts will only operate when the engine of the bus is on, while other lifts will operate with the engine off, so be sure you know how the lift on your bus operates. Use the handheld remote control to extend the lift outward. If your lift platform folds, this will unfold it for use. Whatever style of lift you are operating, be sure to clear the area it will extend into, and be sure no people standing nearby could be harmed by the lift as it extends. Lower the lift platform to the ground by pressing the appropriate button on the handheld remote. When the feet on the end of the outer kick plate touch the ground, they will trigger the outer kick plate to extend to the ground, providing access to the platform. If your lift is equipped with a safety strap, unbuckle it and hang the buckle from the provided peg near the lift arms. Every student interaction should begin by greeting the student warmly. Communicate your planned actions to the student as you greet them. A student who spends much of their day in a mobility device may see the device as an extension of their personal space. So just as you would not grab a person by the shoulder without telling them you were going to do so, tell your student that you will be placing your hands on the mobility device to guide them safely onto the ramp. Maneuver the mobility device onto the lift platform with the student facing outward, away from the bus, and as close to the back of the platform as possible. This keeps the majority of the weight on the platform as close to the lifting arms as possible to keep the passenger stable. It also prevents overload damage and warping or bending of lifts due to position and leverage. Never load a student onto the platform facing the bus, and do not allow parents or staff members to do so. If a student is capable of moving themselves into position on the platform, supervise their movements to ensure they are in the proper position when they are done. Secure the brakes on the mobility device, or have the student do so if they are able. Buckle the safety strap if the lift is equipped with one. If the buckle does not connect, or if the sensor in the buckle does not register the connection correctly, the lift will not operate and may need to be manually raised. We will get to this process in a few minutes. If there is no safety strap on your lift, the outer kick plate serves the same function. Use the handheld remote to raise the platform while placing a hand on the mobility device to stabilize it if there are any unexpected movements. Stand on the ground while the student is elevated. Riding on the lift with the student, will not afford you enough control to prevent an injury if something goes wrong during the process. Only the student in the mobility device should be on the lift when it is in motion. Release the brakes on the mobility device or ask the student to do so if they are able. Back the student into the bus as far as you are able to before securing the brakes once more. Be careful not to allow the mechanism to pinch your skin when setting the brakes. Never allow a student who cannot control their own movements to roll backwards beyond your reach. Guide them to a safe stopping point. Ensure that the mobility device is secure in place before leaving the student to enter the bus through the service door. If weather is inclement or excessively cold, stow the lift and close the lift access door first to keep your passengers warm and comfortable before continuing to secure your passenger's mobility device. Before positioning your student's wheelchair, be sure to remove the tie-downs on the aisle side. This removes tripping hazards and allows for a smoother experience. Park the wheelchair centered on the channel lock strips. Set the brakes. The ratchet tie-down hooks must be placed on a solid metal area or welded joint. Do not attach to the axle of the wheelchair, the wheels themselves, or to bolted-on parts unless they are truly WC-19 compliant. If a good anchor point is not available, use blue straps from Q-Strain. They are double woven and crash tested for this purpose. Place tie-downs in the outer channels for the front and inner channels for the rear. Attach the anchors in an X pattern, left front, right front, left rear, for example. This provides the fastest securement in case of a loading zone collision. The ideal angle of the tie-down straps is 45 degrees, but no more than 60 degrees or less than 30 degrees. Once the tie-downs are secure, begin placing the lap shoulder belt. The ends of the seat belt should attach from behind, around the back of the chair, and across the student's body. They should never go around armrests or other postural support accessories. The buckle should rest right at the student's hip bone. Pull enough slack in the lap shoulder end to make placement smooth. Attach both ends, then take up the slack in the buckle end. Make final adjustments to the lap shoulder side using the back of your hand toward the student's body. Make sure the shoulder strap crosses the collarbone and sternum. The lap belt should lie low across the student's hips, not legs or belly. If the shoulder belt rides too high or goes across the student's neck, adjust the height on the wall of the bus. Release the brakes and move the wheelchair back and forth gently. Finally, turn each tie-down ratchet by hand. For multiple riders with different sized chairs, place a piece of tape with student's name for easy positioning of tie-downs. Upon arrival to school or home, reverse the procedure, remembering to secure the tie-downs from the aisle side in the channel closest to the wall of the bus. Remember, drivers should never raise or lower the lift while standing on it with their passengers, both for their own safety and for the safety of their passengers. The lift operates on a hydraulic system that can still be pressurized or released without the handheld remote. To release and lower the lift manually, begin by positioning the bus and opening the lift door in the same way as previously shown. When the lift door is open, remove the manual lift handle from the housing of the lift and insert it into the release valve as shown. Lift the rear kick plate out of its fail-safe mechanism to allow the lift to open outward. Then, turn the handle a quarter of a full turn counterclockwise to slowly release the hydraulic pressure and allow gravity to lower the platform to the ground. Be aware of your surroundings and stop lift motion by turning the handle clockwise if the lift could harm any property or people nearby. Once the lift platform has reached the ground, load or unload your passenger as described before. To raise the lift and stow it for travel, turn the manual lift handle clockwise to allow it to regain pressure in its pistons and remove it from the release valve. Insert the handle into the manual pressure pump above the release valve and begin to pressurize the lift by pumping the handle up and down, much like a floor jack in an automotive shop. It will take many repetitions of this motion to completely raise and stow the lift before the rear kick plate will latch back into the fail-safe mechanism, so be careful to maintain good posture and avoid exhaustion or injury in the process. When the lift is completely and securely stowed, you may close the lift door and resume driving. We've covered a lot of material in this presentation, and it's natural to forget things from time to time, so if you're ever unsure of the proper way to complete an assigned task, consult your employee handbook or ask someone from the training department for help. Our goal is to give you the tools you need to successfully do your job. Thank you again for your dedication to the safety of our students.